So we are incredibly excited to have Brian with us today. But before I introduce Brian, I just want to give you guys some housekeeping in terms of future people that are coming on to make sure that you have this in your calendar. So December 14th, we have Dr. Jeff Spencer. Dr. Spencer is an Olympian. He's a world-renowned artist. Oh, and by the way, he has coached the likes of Richard Branson, Tiger Woods, Lance Armstrong, etc. So Dr. Spencer's done just about everything you can do in life. And he's going to be coming on the 14th. Then we have another legend. We have Avram Miller. Avram is literally a Valley legend. He's worked with everyone from Steve Jobs to Bill Gates early on, and started Intel Capital with Andy Grove. Andy's the legendary former CEO of Intel. And I love this quote. So this is Avram's book that we'll be talking about, which is called The Flight of the Wild Duck. And if you can see it, looks a little like Einstein. But this is what Andy Grove said about Avram. He said, "You always need a wild duck like Avram, a non-linear thinker that stirs up others. I always try to have an Avram on my team, always. They disrupt and create." So maybe we'll get Brian to chime in on that later and his thoughts on whether you need a wild duck in your organization. But so we've got Avram on the 21st. Then January 11th, we have Megan Riley. Megan was on Shark Tank. She got a deal from Mark Cuban. This is years and years ago. They took the deal and then reneged on him, and probably good idea, because since then they've grown their franchise to 35 franchises, including a master franchise agreement in China. So Megan Riley is going to join us. Then we're joined by Kat Gazarian, who's Game Day HR CEO, and absolutely amazing. And then we are going to go to Antonia Hawk, who's the global head of the Ritz-Carlton Leadership Center. So we originally had her scheduled, if you had it in your calendar, for early December, but we have to move the date. So we will we'll announce that date shortly. For those of you who may have never joined one of these calls before, these Talent Champion calls are unique in that we get to hear from legends like Brian, but we also get to have these conversations be very interactive. So we're going to do about 30 minutes with Brian and I talking, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So the good thing is all you have to do is in the chat, just say, "I've got a question." You don't have to post your question, and then you can ask your question directly to Brian. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Brian. Brian Scudamore is the CEO of O2E Brands, probably best known for 1-800-GOT-JUNK. He's been on Oprah. He was recently on the Ellen Show. He is really, to me, the epitome of a people over everything leader. And he talks about it a lot, which I love, which is obviously right up our alley. He has built really his brands all around people. Newsweek named them one of the best places to work. As a matter of fact, I think they were ranked 17th out of 100 for employee happiness and satisfaction. Brian wrote really one of my favorite books. If you have not picked up WTF, which is Willing to Fail, you really, really, truly are missing out. It's jam-packed with unbelievably actionable information, and one of the best books that I've ever read. And Brian did write a chapter in my second book, Standing O Encore, and wrote it about a couple people, including his grandparents, who kind of gave him the nudge into his entrepreneurial journey. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Brian Scudamore, who's up in Canada. Brian, how you doing?
There we go, unmuted. Thanks for having me. Love
How are you?
love being here. I feel I got to say right off the bat, when I hear the speakers that are coming up over the coming weeks and people that have worked with Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, and we got Robert here who's rowing across the Atlantic, and Scott's just run the New York Marathon. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong room. What am I doing here? I'm intimidated, but no, it's lots of smiling faces and happy to be here.
Yeah, it's amazing that you took the time to carve out, and I know that's just you. You know, that was you when you jumped in and wrote a chapter of gratitude and standing O Encore. That's you for joining us in the Talent Champions Council. I am really excited about BYOB. And I don't know, did you go with, is it build your own business or be your own boss?
We went with both. So yeah, a new book coming out in January, February, and it's been written, it's off to publishing, but it is called BYOB, Build Your Own Business, Be Your Own Boss. It's different things to different people. Some people want to build their own business and some people want to be in charge of their vision and destiny. So you pick your poison.
I love it. So we are all about teaching leaders how to be people over everything champions. And to me, Brian, that's kind of what defines you. I hear you talk about it all the time. I've read it in your book, WTF. I love how you talk about, let's start with a little bit of the backstory with Grandpa Kenny and Grandma Florence, who owned an Army surplus store, I think in San Fran. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that and how that got you into your entrepreneurial journey. And then let's talk about why people over everything has kind of always been your mantra.
Yeah, so I'll start by saying I don't think it's always been my mantra, but it has been for probably 25 plus years. So I'll get there. But I'll start with my grandparents. They ran an Army surplus store in a dodgy area of San Francisco. And I used to go there every single spring break, Christmas holiday, summer vacation, and go work in their store. So my mother remarried a Canadian, and I'm a Canadian and have lived here most of my life, but I'd go back down and work in their store. And I remember the spark for running a business just really lit under my feet in a big way. I love ringing the cash register. I love seeing customers come in and trying to help them and give them what they needed. I learned about sales. I learned about marketing. I learned about how to do inventory, and I just found it fun. I mean, that's all it was. And a story that really, and I think this is the part in your book that really got me going with understanding that a business is all about people, was my grandparents. Anyone that would come in the store from this dodgy area of town, a lot of homeless, a lot of people that were down and out, and they'd come in and they'd ask for money. And my grandparents never gave anybody any money, but they gave them always what they really needed was an ear, a hug, some love and attention. And it was amazing the reputation they had on the street. Next door, there was an electrician. On the other side was a locksmith. And I remember one day the electrician was running down the street chasing someone that had just robbed his store. And then weeks later, the business on the other side is chasing someone. And getting robbed in that area was a common occurrence. My grandparents never got robbed because there was a reputation on the street that the Lorbers are wonderful people. They never gave them money. They always gave them an ear. And that impressed upon me. That had me realize that if you just treat people right with respect and love, nobody's going to do you wrong, or, most people won't. And I really loved, and Tanya just put a little heart there, like that's how I feel. And a business can be one of love. And I don't say this bragging about our award, but as the number 17 on Newsweek's most loved workplaces, we got there because our people voted, our customers voted, our Google reviews voted. And it's the pride that I take that we're building a business that has meaning much more than money. It's building a business that stands for something, that lifts people up, that gives people opportunity. And so to me, business is the ultimate vehicle to be able to do good in the world.
And Brian, why do you think more CEOs are not focused on their people? They're more focused on profit, or they're more focused on whatever their product is or their technology. But very rarely do I find CEOs that are hyper-focused on their people. And obviously that's brought tremendous success for you. And I think it will for anybody, especially in a services industry. Why do you think that is?
I would guess that a lot of CEOs, a lot of human beings, don't know their why. They don't know what really drives them and their reason for being. And the old expression of money doesn't buy happiness. I mean, I know that to be true. I'm sure most people here know that to be true. And often we're driven by the dollars, but imagine if we were driven by the relationships, if we were driven by the difference we make. So I always believe, and I guess, if I go back to, and Simon Sinek popularized this concept of the why. Simon, I talk about this in our second book, BYOB, when he was, there we go, start with why. Simon Sinek, I remember the day when he slept on my couch. I remember when he was on our board and he wasn't yet the Simon Sinek that people know today. And he did me a great act of service and helped me uncover my why. And my why is about imagining big possibilities. You never know, they might just happen. That's all I've been doing all my life, is imagining big things. And I know if I can inspire others to imagine big things, and I've just planted a seed, it's just amazing to feel a small, tiny part of that possibility that's grown into something. So you had mentioned, Scott, you'd mentioned Ellen. It was on our painted picture. It was in our Can You Imagine wall. Yep. It was in our book. We even said in our painted picture in WTF, all the things we listed that were going to happen, not all of them have happened yet, but they will. And one of them specifically we call out as being on Ellen. And I said, so if anyone here knows Ellen, maybe you can hook me up. And, a couple of weeks ago, we were in Ellen DeGeneres' studio. I got to give her a book. The company was on the show. I had nothing to do with making it happen. I planted a seed, and then two wonderful women on our team made it their mission to go make this happen. So back to long-winded answer, why don't CEOs do more of developing their people and opening their minds to big possibilities? I don't know if they really understand the potential impact on the world that it can have. And we get too focused, many people, on the bottom line and the dollars, but the dollars come when you make the right decisions. If you put people, as you say, above profits, people above everything, it's just, the magic will happen. I guarantee it.
So you're always somebody who has thought big. You got on Oprah. Tell that story for anyone who hasn't heard it.
Yeah, we had this Can You Imagine wall, and it was just this big blank wall in our office. And I'm like, we got to do something with this wall. And Cameron Harold, who was our COO at the time, great friend today. And Cameron said to me, Brian, you always talk about vision. You talk about these possibilities. He goes, I can't imagine visions. I just go out and make them happen when someone gives them to me. And I challenged that wasn't the case. I said, everyone can imagine vision. It starts with a question. What can you imagine? So on this wall, we put a big vinyl decal, or as Americans might say, decal. Can you imagine? And below it, I put the first one. I led. And I said, being featured on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And I put my name below it. And anyone in the company that wanted to put something up there permanently that one day they believed would happen, we would put that up on the wall in some way that it would benefit the business. And so my benefit for the business was obvious in terms of the Oprah Winfrey Show and having her say 1-800-GOT-JUNK a bunch of times. But the reason for me, my why for doing it, was I just wanted to give Oprah a hug. I mean, literally, I had it on my personal 101 life goals list to give Oprah a big hug. I think she's an amazing humanitarian and leader and has so much impact on the world. And I just loved her and thought I wanted to give her a hug. So getting on the show, after my 4.5 minutes of fame, I'm in the green room and she says, that was amazing. That was awesome. Thank you. And I'm like, can I give you a hug? And she says, of course you can. I give her this big hug. And it solidified for me in that moment. If you imagine big things, you never know, they might just happen. Everybody told me when I said, we're going to get on the Oprah Winfrey show, and it was posted up on this wall, people are like, dude, I don't know what you're smoking, but good luck. And we made it happen. And again, it wasn't me that made it happen. It was Tyler Wright, who for 14 months chased Harpo Studios, email after phone call, after fax, after who knows what, till one day he stands up in the office and he's like, we did it. And, you know, it was a we moment. We did it and we did it together. And it's something we'll always remember as a really exciting time in the business.
I love it. You know, fun, I think, is synonymous with you. And you inject fun into your business. And you're in the junk hauling business, painting houses, cleaning gutters, things that you wouldn't think are synonymous with fun.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how important that is, and why it's been probably a critical factor in the incredible success that you guys have had.
That's a good point, Scott. So I think it isn't about fun. For me, it's about having fun, but that's my personality. If I look at Megan, who's got a franchise company, or I look at Kathy or Donna, I would say, you know, what is it to you that matters most in your business? And then bring that alive in your business. The fact that I'm a prankster and a practical joker, and I take my business seriously, but not myself. And, you know, it attracts other people who are like-minded, who want to build this together with us. And so I don't think it's the fun as much as it is being myself. We were just on a CNBC, actually, I'm out of the office today. I'm not allowed in the office today because we're part of a reality TV show called the CEO Swap that CNBC is doing. And I got to go in last week to a company in LA, a woman's roofing business, and be her CEO for 3 days. She's now in my business doing who knows what. I mean, it's scary as can be running my business. But it's interesting that here's where I'm ADD, by the way. Sometimes I get ADD so bad that I'm like, what was I just saying? And now I'm in front of 49 people. CNBC, the fun. They were just looking at our business and they're like, this is awesome. You guys have fun. This place is special. And I'm like, I just show up and be myself. We're on a reality TV show. I get to play myself. I'm really good at playing myself. You show up and be authentic, and it attracts so many people to what you're doing. And I see, you know, this goes back to your comment of CEOs, you know, they're driven by the money. If they were only driven by their heart, and everyone's got one, whatever their heart and their meaning is in life, if they could just find that and be that, their company would be 10x, 100x what it is today. People focus on the wrong things. The gold that's inside of us all, if we just really showed up each and every day and did what we believe in and what our mission is. So yes, one of mine is having fun. I want to have fun every day at work. I want to have fun on Zoom, whatever that looks like. And just be yourself.
What's next in your business? You guys have obviously had incredible success. What's on the horizon?
It's a great question. So I find that it doesn't feel like my business anymore. We have 600 employees between 2 head offices. We have hundreds of franchise owners. And I love asking people, what's next? Mm-hmm. This isn't the CEO coming in and going, here's what's next. This is what we're doing. I get to find out from people what's next for them. And they get out and make big things happen. And so it's our business as a vehicle for great ideas and possibility. There's a sign just over my left shoulder here. It's kind of fun to do the impossible, Walt Disney. I want people thinking big possibilities. So right now, one of our big possibilities is how do we take Wow One Day Painting, where we go paint people's homes in a day, and have that one day be a bigger business than our $500 million 1-800-GOT-JUNK. there's way bigger potential. Or Shack Shine. I look at Shack Shine, finding these great owners. How do we find so many amazing people that can come in and take our business platform? They never thought they were going to be an entrepreneur, and now they're building something special in a business, in a space that also could be bigger. It's the little baby in the family. It's the newest brand, but it can be bigger than 1-800-GOT-JUNK. I know that to be true because as a customer, I spend a certain amount of money every year, maybe once a year with 1-800-GOT-JUNK. I spend more money every year with Shack Shine doing my gutters, my windows, my Christmas lights, repeat business 5 times a year. So that's what I get excited about, is how do we grow these businesses and continue to impact people's lives by building something bigger and better together.
When you're looking at franchisees and when you're looking at internal employees, are there different criteria of what you're looking for that you think are predictors of success?
I think if we can find people that are really good at being themselves, that they know what their gift is in the world. I've never met Larry, but Larry's got a gift for the world, right? And he's got something going on there. Yeah, you do, right? And everyone does. And if they're good at understanding themselves and how they show up, those are the people we want, people we can connect with that just love what they do. There's this whole talk right now of the great resignation.
Yep.
Yeah, we're losing some people, sadly, but people are leaving for double the salary elsewhere. It's happening probably to all of us. I see some head nods. I believe that if you are so purpose-focused and you understand your mission in the world, people will wait it out. And people will be like, you know what? I know I'm making less money, but more money is going to come at one day if I get this right with this group of people. So we look just for people that have gifts, but understand them. We look for people that just have a passion for life. Our values as a company, they've never changed, never will, are 4 things: passion, integrity, professionalism, and empathy. Those are our values. They're no one else's. They just happen to work for us. And they attract and repel people to and from the company. And people in the company will come up to me and they're like, Brian, during the pandemic, when we laid off 52 people, it was hard, but you did it with passion, integrity, professionalism, and empathy. You held true to our values. It was hard, but you did it the right way. Or actually, here's a couple of ways where I think maybe you didn't live up to the values, and they'll hold me accountable as a leader. So staying true to our values, finding the right people that fit those values, and people that don't, making sure they find a better home that's more in line with what they're looking for.
Very interesting. Yeah, there was just an article I read today about, the pendulum will swing back the other way, and they're calling it the boomerang effect, which is, what they think will happen is a lot of people will wind up coming back to the companies that they're leaving. And I think a lot of it is predicated on how those companies treat them at this, point in time where they may decide to look elsewhere. So I think that's going to be fascinating.
I agree. People will come back, but hopefully my wish for them is that they've left the company in the best possible way if they've chosen to leave. Were they transparent and honest? Did they give enough time before the next business? I mean, for the most part, most of our people that have left have done it with the right amount of mutual respect. But you get some people who are like, I'm making double the salary. I'm sorry, I'm out of here. And they just leave. And, if you burn a bridge and someone doesn't want you back, my favorite conversations are the ones when someone does leave. I say, you know what? I really appreciate everything you've ever done here. You're always welcome back. I want to be able to say that to people. So I think that's important.
Beautiful. We have, so these hours go by in like a nanosecond. And I want to leave enough time for what is now quite a queue of people who are dying to ask you a question. And we're going to go first to Texas, to somebody that I already mentioned, Megan Riley. So Megan is the Chief Operating Officer of Tippy Toes. The story of Shark Tank and her taking the deal from Mark Cuban and then saying this is not the right deal for us is fascinating. So Megan, you are up with Brian.
Yay, thank you. This is so cool. This is like, for me, it's like a Michael Jordan moment of like, what you do. This is my world. This is just super fun to hear from you. Also, because you're into practical joking, I wanted to give you a tip. A sugar cookie with toothpaste on it worked for me. Somebody got me with that prank, my sister, who I actually run Tippy Toes with. So if you're ever looking for a prank, that one works really well. It's disgusting, but also hilarious.
Awesome.
Okay, so my question for you, Brian, is what I find so interesting is you've started different brands. And so I'm curious, tactically, what you have brought, like what you saw work with 1-800-JUNK that you then were like, I want to make sure we repeat this part here and there. Like, what threads have you made sure that you keep throughout your different brands because you find them to be that important?
So great question, Megan. I talk about this in my next book, which will, be in the early new year, but vision, people, and systems. Those three things drive every business we've ever built. Have a vision, a painted picture of what that future looks like that is a little bit impossible seeming, but clearly shared with the company. People, finding the right people and treating them right, always. And then having the systems to replicate every best practice in the system so that you can scale for success. If I look at we had 4 brands. So maybe a really quick story of what didn't work. We had a moving company called You Move Me. We sold it after 8 years. It was, I think of the brands like children, and I hate going, you know what, we shipped one brand off to college, maybe never to see them again. But this was You Move Me. We created a great brand. It was in the moving space, a very commodity driven business. We realized that when we haul away someone's junk, they're like, wow, what a relief. I got my space back. We paint their walls with wow and day. Wow, transformation. Mm-hmm. We clean their windows. We get rid of their gutter mess. And they're like, oh, this is unbelievable. I can see again. With moving, no matter how great our teams were, at the end of the day, still have to unpack. Stuff's broken. Stuff's lost. Mom and dad are fighting. It's stressful. It's a new neighborhood. And it was just a really hard business to feel like at the end of the day, we just left a really happy impact. And so sometimes you learn more by what you aren't good at or don't want to do. And we got rid of You Move Me so that someone else can try and do what we couldn't.
That's fascinating. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
We're going to Jervis in Colorado.
Thanks, Scott. Brian, thank you so much. What an inspirational half hour full of great one-liners. And Megan sort of stole my question, so I'm just going to sort of suss it out a little further. You mentioned a lot of things that are the keys to success: authenticity, a process of self-awareness, and understanding your own heart and gifts, vision, people, systems. I've got a lot of notes here. I love what you were just saying. You really like to sell happiness, and you don't want to be involved in any business that's not selling happiness, which I think is a really cool concept as well. Mm-hmm. So my question is sort of in 2 parts. One, how do you suggest to a leader that they figure out who they are at their core and get in touch with that so they can lead with that purpose? Mm-hmm. And then 2, once you've done that, what are the metrics or the non-financial accounting or the systems that help you know how well you're doing with vision and people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so great question. Nobody's ever asked me the first one about how you get people to figure out who they are and that they're authentic. But my answer would be, so I've never been asked, but my answer would be, when I meet so impeccability with your word. There's a book, The 4 Agreements. And I remember reading that book and I'm like, am I impeccable with my word? I'm not. And I started getting down to such a level of, I would not say, and still to this day, I will not say to someone, it's nice to meet you, if I don't believe it was nice to meet them. I won't say to someone, let's do lunch, if I have no intention of doing lunch. So, and I can find something else to say to someone instead of nice to meet you. I hope you have a great day. I hope everybody has a great day. I really do. So impeccable with my word that I won't say something that isn't true. The best way to get to know yourself is pay attention to your word and everything you say and back it up. If you say to someone, you know what, I'm going to do that by tomorrow, and you just know there's no chance you're going to do it, just go, actually, hold on a second. I need till the end of the week to do this. I would love to do it by tomorrow, but I just can't do that. And I think that's the best way to get to know yourself. Pay attention to your word and what you're saying. And once you know yourself, then I think you're unstoppable. I think that, yeah, it's a powerful feeling. And what do people need in a company? They need trust. They need to know that when their leader says something, they mean it. They don't, if the leader doesn't have the answers, say you don't have the answers. I see too many leaders and CEOs say they try and be the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room in my mind. And then the second question, don't remember for a second what it was. Oh, KPIs. How do we measure vision, people, systems? Yeah, so vision's easy. You put something in the painted picture, you make sure it's so clear. Getting on Oprah, did we? Yes or no? Make it so clear that you can check a box on everything that's in there. In terms of people, ask your people, how are we doing? Are we winning awards like most loved workplaces that say we really want to be a most loved workplace? Systems, are they working? I'm a big believer in the E-Myth, Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth. People don't fail, systems do. Is it working? You know, it's not that people want to make mistakes, but if they make a mistake, what's the missing system that we need to ensure that this does not happen again?
Love it.
Awesome.
We're going
Thank
to
you.
stay. We're going to stay in Colorado, and we're going to Keegan. Keegan, you're up with Brian.
Hi there. It's nice to be with another Coloradan out here. Appreciate meeting you, Jervis. And Brian, pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for all the information so far. You mentioned earlier when you were talking about 1-800-JUNK, you wanted to build something that was bigger than it. Like 1-800-JUNK it's a great company, but you wanted to build something bigger. And I think one of the number one things I always hear is that is a challenge for a lot of leaders or CEOs is how to build something that's bigger than them, which comes down a lot to whether it's delegating work or building the next generation of leaders. What was your experience with building future leaders and empowering other people and going through that mentally for yourself? And what kind of advice would you give to leaders now who are looking to essentially continue that legacy of building the next generation of leaders?
Yeah, two things. These overnight success stories sure take a long time. I've been at this 32 years. So I think the number one thing for me, going back to my 18-year-old self, is remember how long these things will take. And so developing future leaders and finding the possibilities and figuring out what the business looks like, just give yourself the space and time that this takes a long time. To put it in perspective, I did $1 million in revenue with 1-800-GOT-JUNK after 8 years is what it took me to get to that first million. What time is it now? We'll do $1 million by probably 11 a.m. this morning in one day. So 8 years, but then the ramp up of that momentum, but it takes time to get that momentum, and personal development, leadership development is no different. You know, that first 8 years of just figuring out your leadership style, but then what do you learn by morning? So I think that the other key, Keegan, has been, I'm not great at developing people. I don't really know how to develop people. And my time and energy is spent in other areas of things that I'm great at, that I excel at. But I found a partner. I found a COO who is amazing at developing people, Eric Church. He's been with us for just over 10 years. He develops people he then finds a team who are also great at developing people, and it just perpetuates itself. So finding someone that's really, really, really good at that. And we just celebrated Eric's 10-year anniversary, and I got videos from about 50 people. And everybody did a nice little video, and there was no prompting other than just, what do you appreciate about Eric? And that really came up over and over and over, was how much he's changed their life, how he's developed them, saw the best in him, in them, and so on.
Fantastic. We are going to warmer climates. We're going to Randy in Florida.
Hey, Scott. Hey, Brian. Nice to meet you. I have so many notes here, but there's one question that's just sticking out to me. And that is, it seems like your businesses with 1-800-GOT-JUNK and the others were really service businesses that were designed to make people's lives easy. And that it's almost, because I've been a customer of 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and it's almost like they come over and it's like, don't worry, we got this taken care of. And I didn't really care what the price was because it made my life easy. And I'm trying to apply that to what I do. And I'm just wondering if you feel that the world is headed in that direction, that people could go rent a truck at Home Depot and lug their garbage themselves, but they don't. They would instead rather pay for the convenience. And I just see sort of a pattern. And I'm wondering if you, in your future stuff and future ventures, is that the same type of approach and philosophy? And do you think that that's worthwhile to focus on?
Yeah. Here's a question for you. How long would you wait on your iPhone on a website to load? How many seconds would you wait before you go to a different website?
Not many, I understand.
Maybe 3.
Right.
Right? Like, we are so impatient. We want everything tomorrow. We want everything to be easy. The world's gone that way.
Right.
And so what's interesting is what was easy 20 years ago or what was easy 5 years ago doesn't mean it's easy today. And I think the world is absolutely gone there, and it's just going to accelerate. Everything we do has to be so easy. I mean, you run out of something, you go onto Amazon in one click, in less than 30 seconds, you've got whatever you needed. True story. I did it with oatmeal and oat milk this morning. I'm like, oh, okay, boom, boom, great. We want the world to be easy, and companies that don't make it easy. Now, here's something. I love Amazon and how easy it is. I don't feel a relationship with Amazon of any kind. When they come to my door and they ring the doorbell, I don't know who dropped off that package. And I don't see people behind that brand. So clearly they've built one of the biggest companies on the planet and done a lot of great things. But the one component that I see as an opportunity missing is how to have that human relationship with the Make It Easy. So in our businesses, it's important to be uniformed and friendly and have clean, shiny trucks. And we go in people's homes. Amazon stops at the threshold. So that's a big component for us, is showing up. Our personalities matter, as well as make it easy.
Thank you so much. That was.
Thank you. And thanks for being a
absolutely
customer.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Randy.
We're going to Tyler in Pennsylvania.
Awesome, Brian. Thank you. Or Scott, thank you so much. Brian, so great to meet you. So as many of those know on the call already, I'm in the process of writing my first book titled All Roads Lead to Sales: How Sales Skills Are the Foundation to a Successful Life. And over the course of my interviews, I found that a lot of highly successful people have actually learned a lot of skills in some of their first jobs that they thought that were actually significantly more valuable than the minimum wage that they were actually making at the time. So do you have any of those early stories from one of your first jobs, and maybe even some of the skills that you never thought you were actually going to use, but have proven to actually have a big impact on your success?
Yeah, I do, Tyler, and nice to meet you. And I'm smiling because I love that example. I've never heard that before, but I'm like, man, if I go back to one of my earliest days, so 11 years old, one of my first businesses I created was a car wash business. Now, here's what I learned. And so that's why I was smiling. I'm just like, man, this dude's smart. Like the stuff we learn at a young age and don't realize that we end up applying our whole life. So a guy, Eric, across the street started a car wash. And I'm like, that's a good idea. So I mimicked the competition and went and found out a way to do it better. I went and got plywood signs and spray painted car wash. And I hired a couple of kids that were in the neighborhood who were friends of mine. I learned about marketing. I said, I want you to go one block down to that busy street where all those cars are. And I want you to hold up and wave these signs, because Eric's sign is just sitting there doing nothing. I learned about marketing, guerrilla marketing. I learned about price wars. We literally kept crossing out our signs and competing. We went from $2. I went down all the way to 65 cents at one point. I had a lineup of 9 cars. One car washed itself. He just goes, can I borrow a bucket? I'm in a rush, and went and did it himself and still gave us $2. So the stuff you learn about hiring people, about culture, about marketing, it's amazing. So I think it's a smart thing to tap into people's past and early childhoods and say, what were their gifts? What was I was a promoter at an early age. I like to have fun at an early age. I like to make money and ring the cash register. And so it's cool. I like your concept for your book.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler. Tanya in Wisconsin.
Hi, Brian. So great to meet you.
You too. Hi, Tanya.
I have a question. So, Willing to Fail, your book. I know you've described a lot of what success looks like today. How do you approach a failure today in your business, and how do you convey that failure, or how do you communicate that to your team? Because a lot of times, as you mentioned, I also, from a personal perspective, I've learned a lot from my mistakes, or from bad bosses or what have you. And so sometimes you learn more from that. And I think you even touched on that. So how do you deliver that to your team? Because I think it's really important that the team understands the failure, but then it's how the delivery, I think, is even more important. And I think that's where companies today really struggle. They like to point the finger, or they like to point the issue at someone or something. And I think it's more about the delivery and how you approach that. And I'd just love to get your perspective.
Yeah, we celebrate failure. We have a wall in our office called the WTF wall with different things on it that have to do with failures. Tanya, you said, I think we often learn more from our failures. I think we always learn more from our failures. I think that when you fall, you learn how to not fall again. I don't love people repeating mistakes, but I like when people make mistakes and take some risks. When we wrote WTF, my co-author, Roy Williams, the Wizard of Ads, he's known as, and nobody sold more radio and created more radio than this guy, is his claim to fame. And when we wrote the book, I remember, as a branding guy who's created Wow One Day Painting or Shack Shine, I start with the name. And Roy said, no, you write a book, then the name jumps out. And so I had to trust him. He's written more books than anyone I know. And at the end, this concept of WTF jumped out because I looked at my story and I went, wow, I had a little success and then a failure, success and then failure. And it kept on happening. But every failure, whether it's me firing my entire company and 5 years into the business, 11 employees, those failures taught me something. We said earlier, Scott said, you've always been a people-based person. And first 5 years of my business, I had people that I didn't enjoy working with, and I probably wasn't great at treating them right. I didn't find the right people. I made some mistakes, but getting rid of 11 people taught me that as a leader, that was my mistake. I needed to own it and shift my thinking. So failure is, first of all, as a CEO and leader, a founder, I tell my stories of failure proudly. And we celebrate and make it okay for people when they do fail to say, okay, what did you learn? So when I fail today, and it could be a personal failure, a business failure, I pull out a sheet of paper and I write what's at least one thing that can come from that failure that is a great opportunity, a great possibility. When we tried to do you know how many times we tried to get on Ellen before actually getting on? We could have given up, but we kept on chasing it, learned how to tweak and make it happen. So failure is a gift. If you're willing to unwrap it and take the learnings and say, what do I do moving forward? People are scared of failure, and they shouldn't be. They should be proud of it and own it and say, hey, I messed up, but look where it got me.
Great response. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It reminds me of the story of when Sarah Blakely was growing up, and around the dinner table every night, the conversation was, what did you fail at today? And it was celebrated. And obviously, the phenomenal success that she's had at Spanx, a lot of that is due to her fearlessness and her willingness to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So it's such a great story. We are going to Eric in Maryland.
Thanks, Scott. Hey, Brian, nice to meet you, bud. Appreciate it. So Brian, I love the old 6 degrees of separation. And, I don't know Cameron Harold, but I know he worked for you for many years in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. And I'm only connected to him through my good friend and now Scott's good friend, John Rulin, who was also did a masterclass here a couple months ago. So my question is, on a COO, Chief Operating Officer perspective, when does a entrepreneur, solopreneur, when do they hire that person to really help grow that company? Because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, and particularly solo entrepreneurs, they struggle in their mind with, well, do I get a VA? Do I get an assistant? Let alone do I get a chief operating officer, an operations director, somebody like that? So when did you have that light bulb moment where you're like, holy shit, I need somebody other than myself to do all the operations so I can go sell and have fun and grow the business?
Yeah, great question. I know John Rulin. We were in a class together, Birthing the Giants in Boston. He's a great guy. I still have my steak knives that he's given me, which I absolutely love. So when did I figure out I needed someone else? I mean, probably like 7-8 years into the business. I'm like, I can't do it all. But I think that the answer is when someone really knows what the gap is and what they're missing, have someone else to do what? So Cameron came in and helped us grow from 2 million to 106 million. And Cameron and I were in the same entrepreneur organization forum group together. And he said he'd never work for me. And I said, well, can you come in and consult and just help me out here on a couple of things? And he fell in love with the business, and we loved working together, and there was magic there. But I think as soon as you can understand what your weaknesses are that still have to happen in the business, find someone else to fix those or fill them, because you're not growing. You can't grow without taking care of some of that. So what I did was, Eric Church, who's been 10 years in the business, my third COO and president, and I really believe I got it right this time. And why I did, I took out a sheet of paper and I drew a line down the middle, and I said, what are all the things in the business that need to happen that I'm good at and I love to do? What are all the things in the business that need to happen that I'm bad at and I hate to do? And that was a long list. I needed to find someone who had those things as their gifts, as their strengths. So I created a little mini vision of what I was looking for in somebody that could fill all my gaps. And I found Eric. And it's been unbelievable since. So again, the answer, for me, the sooner you can find somebody to fill the gaps that the business needs to grow, go find that person. And Eric and I are so different. I'm a t-shirt and skinny jean guy. He's more a suit and tie with a little pocket square guy. Like, we're very different. But it's that complementary, great friends, great trust and partnership in how we work.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Andrew McNeil in San Francisco.
Right. Hey, Brian, how's it going?
How are you?
Doing great. Question. I've always been curious about how a business that has a large number of franchisees can make sure that the vision and really culture of the organization be communicated down. Because I will say, in 15 years, I've never had a bad experience with 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They were here on Sunday, actually. They're always the friendliest people. They're super clean cut. You see those commercials, and the service people, they look really clean cut in the commercial, but when they show up to the house, not so much. 1-800-GOT-JUNK is always like, they always look great. They're happy. They haul everything away really quick. So what's the secret there?
We say find the right people and treat them right. And so finding the right people for us is, if we're about customer experience, taking care of people, having a clear vision, we want to find people that buy into that. Not people that go, hey, I can get on board with that, but people that see our painted picture and go, yeah, I want to be a part of that. This is awesome. So much of the reason why we get out and tell our story in the press is when someone sees us on Ellen or Oprah and they go, oh, that's amazing. Love that story. Like, they identify with it. Great. You're somebody that we want to talk to. I know, Scott, you mentioned Steve Jobs earlier, that someone that had worked with him, and a story, one of my favorite Steve Jobs stories was when he was recruiting developers for the Mac, the prototype. He'd put the prototype on a desk. Someone would come into the room as a potential person to be interviewed. If they fired away at the keys and their eyes lit up and sparkled, he's like, yes, I want to interview that person because they see what I see. And so it's finding people that already believe. And if they do, That's the starting point. And then of course you need the vision, the people, the systems, those things that are constant in the business as check-ins. We've got something that we refer to called inspect what you expect. So as a CEO, I still several times a year pick up the phone and call 1-800-GOT-JUNK, see what the service is like, inspect what we expect to see that, yeah, Andrew uses 1-800-GOT-JUNK and they're always friendly. Is that what people feel? Are we delivering on that every single time? We're going to make mistakes. We're going to learn from those, but it really is truly finding those right people, treating them right, and inspecting what you expect.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I think we've got time for two more. So we're going to go to Jeremy and then we're going to go to Andrew.
Thank you very much. I'll keep it short. Brian, you said you have ADHD. I have 100 HD. So I get you. It's really bad. One of the things about my career, 30 years, I worked very, very, very hard. I started at the bottom and worked my way down because I was a ditch digger and then had to work my way up. 30 years later, had a lot of success, but I changed industries a year ago, a little over, and one person was actually on this call, Steve Noodleberg, changed my whole life because of him and the way I look at connecting with people a different way. I am very close with more than a dozen people on this very video. Who is the one person in your life back when you were starting to start all this that had that kind of an impact on you? That, do you have that one person?
That's a great question.
What was the change?
I saw Steve. I don't see him right now, but he was wearing a Huddle shirt.
Oh, if I didn't know he was off, I wouldn't have said it was him. I'd have said it was
You
Scott.
shouted him out. You know what? It's never been one person for me. I've never met one person that has the whole package. And so because I didn't get a real MBA in school, I created something that I called my own MBA, which was Mentor Board of Advisors. And I'm just constantly looking for mentors. I'm always out there meeting new people, having conversations, being curious, asking questions, and learning from others. And it's been hundreds of people. And some names you'd know and some names you'd have no clue, but it's constantly learning and asking questions. And I mean, selfishly, I love doing stuff like this with you, Scott, and your team, because I learn a ton by getting asked great questions that I've never been asked before, and reflecting and interacting with great people and meeting people that hopefully we can stay in touch with. And it's just an ongoing life philosophy of mine.
Okay. In the back of your book, in the back of WTF, if you guys haven't read it, I think there's 10 tips from you. And I think 2 of them, if I remember correctly, have to do with mentors and how important they are.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So good stuff. All right, Andrew, you're batting cleanup.
All right, batting cleanup here at the final end of the hour. And thanks. Great to be with you, Brian, and thanks for being here. So this may actually be more of a question for Eric, the way you've described your organization, but recently for my largest client, I've taken over kind of a reporting relationship. 4 of their senior leaders kind of are reporting to me to help build and grow their business. But I feel like I've got a little bit of ground to make up because their prior leader, who was the head of the organization, I think let them down on a lot of different levels in terms of regular connectivity and supporting them in their efforts, not in necessarily critical ways, but I feel like I have some trust to re-earn on behalf of the organization. And so I'm just wondering whether you've got tips or comments around that, maybe what you've done, perhaps what you've observed Eric do, or just your jam.
Yeah, do you want to go first? I know you threw that to Eric. Do you want to chime in, Eric? Oh, sorry, you're talking to Eric.
I wish you were Eric. Sorry.
There we go.
I wish,
I got
but I think you
confused.
meant your rock star.
The other mysterious Eric up in the corner.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So rebuilding trust.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just starts with conversations,
mm-hmm.
and just lay out the situation with everybody and say, here's where we're at. And even hearing you with the vulnerability, the trust starts with vulnerability. Pat Lencioni wrote a great book on the 5 dysfunctions of a team, and building trust. You can't have trust without first having vulnerability. And what I love about you is your vulnerability to say, I've got some trust to re-earn. Sit down with people that are stakeholders in this and just say, I've got some trust to re-earn. What's it going to take for me to do that?
Sounds good. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
One thing. Yeah. I'm Scott, I'm just putting in a link to how people can stay in touch with me if anyone wants to learn more about painted pictures and vision and any of the things we're doing. There's my link tree, but this is such a fun group. I've really enjoyed being here, and lots of smiles, especially Donna. Donna, I don't think has stopped smiling the whole
Donna
Zoom.
smiles nonstop, and Larry Long's got a good competing smile. We haven't heard from him, but Brian, you know, one of the cool things about, I started the Talent Champions Council a year ago, little less than a year ago. We've got 400 members in 27 countries, all trying to really push people over everything as kind of a mantra for companies to be successful. And you've always been kind of a role model of that for me. I know that you said early on that wasn't you, but that certainly has become you. What can we do, Brian, as a community to help support you?
Thank you. I mean, I'm always looking for amazing people to help us on our mission of entrepreneurship. And I love when we find people that are matched up with an opportunity with Shack Shine, Wow One Day, 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Just people that go, yeah, I've always wanted to build a business, but didn't know where to start. So if anyone ever comes to mind, you can put them in touch. Thank you. But if I can ever be of assistance to anyone here as well, please keep in touch, send me a note. And I think we're all very lucky that as entrepreneurs and business people, we've got such an amazing profession and we can make such an impact on the world. So that's my wish for everyone here. Big impact.
Thank you, Brian. You make a huge impact. I appreciate you carving out an hour of your time. It does not go unnoticed that, you know, time is always our most precious resource. So I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Brian.
Thank you. All the best to all of you.
And thank you all for carving out an hour of your time to spend with us. It was, as always, a lot of fun.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Awesome.
fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I can't take notes during these. Thank God they're recorded.
That's what the recording's for.
Really, really good. Thank you guys so much.
Joe Jacoby, what's up, my man?
Hey, it's really nice. That was a great masterclass, Scott. I really, yeah, he is truly he's a master teacher. You know, he has so much good words to offer. If everyone who's like done this for us so far, if you could sit in for a semester on like a class with him as a professor, like he would just be so good, you know, to learn from. Entire like for 3 months. That was really good. And you're doing well. I love seeing a few of the pictures from the book launch. It's hard to believe after all the, you know, where the standing O has gone, but it's all happened while I've been living over here. And it's just been hard to get back to the US, although my daughter is coming back for the first time in more than 3 years on the day after tomorrow. So I'm happy for her that she gets a little time in the US. But
awesome.
Anyway, congratulations on the book launch. It looked great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was awesome. We finally got to meet Megan Riley, who's up there.
Yeah.
In the flesh. But it was one of those where I have such an affinity for her, love her to death, that it was just like meeting an old friend. And it didn't seem, same with Eric, and a bunch of the other folks that were there. It was really, really cool.
I'm looking
Joe,
forward to
you owe me a masterclass. So
we'll get to it. I look forward to that. I look forward to Megan's presentation in a few weeks. It's going to be great as well.
She's working on a really boring PowerPoint slide, I heard.
Lots of graphs. Lots of graphs and yeah, there's a quiz at the end. Yeah, it's going to be very boring. Yeah. No, this is so amazing, Scott. This was awesome. It's so fun to see everybody here. And I agree, like after seeing so many people in New York, and it's like, felt like we always I've seen each other. It was just, I think it's because of what you facilitate here, where we see each other enough that then it was like, oh, we've always hung out, haven't we? It just felt like that. So
I absolutely.
Megan, are you in a closet right now?
I am. We are getting ready to gut our whole house, and so
I just noticed. I
in a
was like,
closet.
wow.
I wondered
Closet. I should definitely be one of the people that doesn't show you my background, but I'm kind of like, then I'm more curious. Then I'm like, what's really back there? And so now I'm just like, this is what it is.
Closets are
Megan,
it's great sound.
It's so enduring. You're obviously not claustrophobic.
Oh no, you know what? There's a door from all the children and things happening. So like if I can find my little hole.
Yeah.
So here's the question. If you go like this and then you go like this, like, can you touch every wall?
1,000%.
She is 7 feet tall.
Like Megan's in a jail cell. Oh my God,
I truly am. And it's a padded one because I have my podcasting stuff. I'm actually in a padded cell. So I don't know if that tells us even more.
Megan, when my kids were younger, I did multiple calls in my closet.
You know, Diana, it's like all of a sudden it seems like not such a bad idea. It's actually a private, wonderful place because nothing else is off limits for them except this. So yeah. But I'll make it a better background, Scott, when I talk.
No, I like it.
I
like
it. Who are you bringing here? Why are you bringing people from closets? Can you, I'll step up my game.
I like it.
Does your family know where you are?
They do. They do. That would be the only other bonus, frankly.
One advantage to having one.
I love that you keep it real. And Eric, what a small world with Cameron and John and Brian.
Crazy. I knew that they were connected there, but I don't know Cameron well. I want to know him more, but obviously I'm super close with John, but I had seen a blurb that John and Brian were together at some point recently.
Yeah. Amazing. Cool. Well, listen, thanks guys. I know everybody's got a busy day. Catherine, you and I and Kathy need to hook up again very, very soon. But thank you guys for carving out time. I appreciate it.
See you next time. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks so much. It was awesome.
Kathy.
Bye, Donna.
Bye.